all a little bit guilty of sometimes favouring the gravity side of mountain biking because we find it is the most fun stuff out there, but there's something to be said about the sheer difficulty and determination of a cross-country racer. And we need to give credit where it's due. Fair's fair. As well as that, there's tons of stuff we can all learn from these amazing cross-country races. Starting with... Without a doubt, the one thing that cross-country riders have more than any other mountain biker is endurance. It's sort of a prerequisite, I guess, because without it, you're not going to get very far. It's a discipline that by far favours the long distance ability over sprinting and power, because cross-country races can last about an hour and a half. And during that time, you're going non-stop. From a sprint start, you need to be able to keep up the pace for the entire length of that race. And quite often, you'll end the race on a sprint finish too. So from start to end, it's 100% on the gas. Now, the Cambridge Dictionary describes grit as courage and determination despite difficulty. If endurance is the basics for cross-country racing, then grit is what keeps you firing when the going gets tough. And for cross-country, it seems like that's pretty much 90% of the time. When a race begins, they do that incredible sprint start, and that alone sets the running order. To get moving past your opponents and get in front, you need to have that extra push to get past and the determination to keep the pace up. If you watch any World Cup cross-country race, grit is the defining character that sets the winners apart from the rest. There are other forms of mountain biking where you can get away with riding, like dirt jumping, and in some cases even racing, maybe some downhill races, without the need for proper training, but cross-country racing doesn't allow for that. If you're going to be serious about it, you need to make sure you're training. This is one parallel to road racing where training takes the front seat. The use of metrics like power meters, cadence sensors, turbo trainers, and a computer permanently attached to your bars is part of the course in cross-country. And this might sound like a whole load more than is necessary, but really, they just make it that much easier to get better. Training for cross-country riders is part of the deal, and if you manage to emulate this dedication and discipline, you'll soon see big results from it. The rest of mountain biking sees climbing as a chore, but cross-country riders see it as the goal. For me, it's type 2 fun at best, but once you conquer that chore mentality, climbing can be great fun. It's important to note that cross-country riders don't just slog it to the top, but push themselves to get up the climb quickly. Just like a downhiller will push themselves to get down a hill quickly, it's all about skill. So it's a skill in its own right to be able to tackle a technical climb. And one of the best parts of getting good at climbs is that it also broadens the appeal of any trail you go to. If you can also enjoy the climbing, then you have 50% more enjoyment on the bike. Now that is a pretty good return on the investment of some discipline. Efficient clothing. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Another way is clothing that allows you to slip smoothly through the air like a fighter jet in a dogfight. Or in other words, very tight clothing. But it's all for the purpose of efficiency. Just like wanting the lightest possible bike to warrant the least amount of energy to get it moving, lightweight and close-fitting clothing reduces any wasted energy. Have you ever worn a waterproof jacket or a hoodie and had that hood flapping around behind you like an air brake on descents? Then you know what I'm talking about here. You can lose precious seconds if your clothing is hanging off you and dragging about. And to be fair, if you get used to wearing this skin-tight clothing, if you haven't tried it, you will quickly realise it's way more comfortable than riding in a non-cycling specific clothing. It's a weird thing to put on first time, but once you're used to it, it's not too bad. Nutrition does not mean a slice of cake after a ride, or a beer, or a pizza. And I think that's where cross-country riders probably have the most discipline of all. We all have our vices. It's really hard to avoid a treat after having a blast riding trails. But for the sake of having a body built for purpose, then more attention to what we eat is required. Now, we'll all probably still have a little treat after a ride, but all the other times a cross-country racer would have a fairly strict diet, not gorging on fast foods or sugary treats. Cross-country racers know what makes their bodies work well, and we can take a page from their book just to make ourselves a bit healthier. Making sure we have the right intake allows us to ensure our energy levels stay where they need to be when it counts. So what shines out for me here is discipline, determination, and focus. If you can focus on your riding goals with an XC racer's mentality, then you can apply the discipline and the determination to make headway and improve. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you get charged up on cross-country racing and all of this has helped. Please love, like and share on your social platforms, and don't forget to subscribe to GMBN, of course. And until next time, I'll say goodbye.